Hello and welcome to CryptoCoin.News. Today we're interviewing Jeff McDonald and Steven Chia, board members of NEM Foundation. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
When you first were developing your project back then in 2014, what was your main aim? And who was your main competitor?
So in 2014, Bitcoin was the main blockchain, and really it was the only one. But we were inspired because Bitcoin had started to change money, and we thought blockchain could do other things. So NEM was designed from scratch, not just to do money, but to also do certificates, voting, authenticity. It is truly a kind of blockchain platform.
I see. There are two main chains in NEM network, which is public and private MyChain. And tell us more for what they both were designed.
Well, I think just like most platforms that were created, there's actually the public chain essentially is very much like the internet, where anybody who wants to develop and create digital assets can immediately use it. Whereas, let's say for the private chain, chances are, let's say if you're a certain industry or your company, you might not want to share that with other people. So that's the reason why we came up with the idea of the private chain. It's kind of like a local area network within your office or your organization. So if you are an insurance company, chances are the data that you have perhaps may be within a private chain environment. So this gives the option for enterprise to choose between the two offerings that we have in the NEM blockchain. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. What provides NEM Catapult? And you stated, Jeff, that it is a 4-layered architecture which is better than Bitcoin's. Please tell us in details why.
When Bitcoin started off, the Bitcoin developers were truly genius. They had this idea of how to make a network and a server and a database to store information and spread it around the world. But since that time, in the last 10 years, there's been a lot of developments in computer science. And around the world, enterprises have moved to something which is more of a layered architecture. And that's exactly what we've done at NEM. And by making NEM divided up into different parts, it's easy to update one part while another part is still working. It's very complicated from computer terms, but it's called microservices architecture. And it's something that's being done around the world at major enterprises. NEM is the first blockchain that's moved to that architecture, and it's truly going to meet enterprise needs in the blockchain world.
Do you believe that the future is for decentralized exchanges?
So the important thing is decentralization or not decentralization. It's being able to trust your partner. And decentralized exchanges allow us to trust the partner that we're trading with. I personally believe that in the future, there can be centralized technology where you don't have to trust the centralized party. That's typically a flaw, but centralization allows things to be faster and cheaper and easier. Decentralization is expensive and slow, but it's very secure. It is possible to get the best of both worlds. Nobody's done it yet. So I'm personally hopeful that we'll be able to do that, to give a trustless technology that's also fast and secure. Bitcoin is looking at doing this with the Lightning Network. Ethereum's looking at doing this with something called sharding. NEM has private chains and public chains, hybrid trading. And there's a lot of different experiments going on right now in the blockchain world. So we're super excited to see how this is going to happen.
Okay, you also stated that another aspect with NEM, which is better, it's multi-level signature account. In what way?
Well, the idea behind multi-signature wallets is so that it can be used in an enterprise or organization environment, so it makes it more secure. But then, if let's say you have more complex decision making, where you need not just maybe 3 or 5 people, but maybe you need 2 levels of organization before a transaction is happening. We designed that multi-level, multi-sig is mainly because to cater for this environment. Typical use of it would be for very complex multi-department where you require different departments to process those payments before one execution of the payment is done. And I think this architecture allows a lot of companies to look at it and say, hey, now it can actually fit within what I'm trying to do within my organization. That's very important because it still has that security of a multi-signature. At the same time, now it helps you, it gives you the platform to design very complex type of decision making, especially when it comes to payments and transactions. Yeah.
Okay, tell us a bit more about Proxima X.
What happened is basically it was started by one of our, also our co-founders for NEM. He stepped off early as the president. He's still an advisor to NEM Foundation. The idea was whenever you have organizations that store their transactions on the NEM blockchain, invariably they always ask, where do I store my data? Or where do I store my invoices, for example? Usually if you store in a centralized location, the same dangers of a centralized storage is there, because if I'm a astute hacker, right? I know I can't hack you on the transaction part, but I may DDoS attack you on the storage part to cripple your business. So that's where the idea of the Proxima X came from. The core of it is actually a distributed file storage technology. And with that, they wrapped a NEM blockchain around it, so that the very same private key or public key that you use for your NEM blockchain for the transactions can also be used to unlock your storage of your data. And they could have stopped there, but they didn't. They added another application layer on top, so that, for example, they will allow things like video streaming or any other applications that requires that kind of decentralized storage. So in a sense, I think that is a good companion product to what NEM is trying to do on the transaction side. Now you have the equal security on the storage side. The project has started, so we look forward to seeing more things coming from their side. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Tell us more about NEM ecosystem and its successful use cases.
Okay. So NEM as a blockchain platform, it can be used for a lot of different things. As Stephen was talking about with Proxima X, they are allowing storage to be built on the blockchain. And blockchain is not just revolutionizing money, it's revolutionizing the way we do all kinds of networks and all kinds of database activities. So you have a database at your bank that controls your money, right? And maybe there's a database, something like Dropbox, right, that controls your data. So Proxima X is helping out with Dropbox. But the blockchain and databases and networks actually do a lot of different things. Your country has a database for your identity, right? And so we have people in the NEM ecosystem that are working on identity. Your country maybe registers your property titles, right? We have a project, one that I work for, LuxTag, and we are putting property titles on the blockchain for luxury items. But databases also control other things, like let's say your credit card points, right? We have a company in the Philippines which has announced a partnership with Grab. Grab is like the Uber of Southeast Asia. They do more than 1 million ride shares every day. How is it? Yeah. Anyway, Grab is the rideshare program of Southeast Asia, and LoyalCoin is partnering with Grab to do loyalty points. They've partnered with 7-Eleven. They've partnered with one of the best coffee shops in Southeast Asia called Gongcha, and Gongcha makes this wonderful coffee and bubble tea, right? And this is some of the things that we're doing at NEM. We're doing loyalty points. We're doing certificates. We're doing identity, right? We're doing voting. 3 weeks ago, I was in Montana in the United States, and I was able to witness one company building on NEM, HE3 Labs, in partnership with the Universal Tribe Partners, demonstrate a whole app built on Catapult that did voting, identity, land titles, and money. And this is the way blockchain is going. It's not just about money anymore, it's about advanced applications. So we're also super excited about people that are building medical applications on top of NEM blockchain, people that are building video games. I saw 2 video games demonstrated at the hackathon yesterday. It's super exciting.
Also, even as far away as in Australia, we have projects that are doing education material on the blockchain. There's a project in Melbourne that grew out of Melbourne, which is called Copyright Bank. They are actually protecting IP on the blockchain, on the NEM blockchain, so that if you take any source IP, like it could be a PDF document, or it can be a music file, or even a photo, you can actually put it on their platform and then able to have it protected and notarized on the blockchain. So I think the possibilities are quite endless. It all depends on how fast people embrace and build up applications on the blockchain. And constantly every day we're seeing more and more stuff going on around the world. Yeah.
And we're seeing blockchain start to interact with other booming fields for the first time. AR, IoT, right? There's an example of another project in California called Versus, and they've been able to map out the whole Earth and put it in a virtual reality, and on the NEM blockchain, link any real-world space and item with the virtual version of that item and link them all together so that they exist, and there's these contracts, and you can rent space or buy that space and create things virtually. And this is interesting because no one's ever done something like this before. And for me personally, when I travel around the world and I see all these different projects, it's really exciting, the things that are going to happen this year, next year, the year after. This is truly a field of exponential growth.
Yeah. Actually, yesterday we were at a blockchain hub in Kiev. There's a local company here called 482 Solutions. They did a prototype on a IoT, how to have actually IoT devices talking and making decisions on the blockchain. They did a pilot where it's actually like a supply chain and connected to IoT devices. And these IoT devices are signing the transactions on the blockchain as a product is moved from one point to another. So that's, to me, very exciting. Yes, it is a pilot, but that can be scaled up to be a real project to maybe handle a very sophisticated logistics supply chain tracking for using IoT devices. And that's just happening in Ukraine itself. Yeah.
Now, considering the current bear cryptocurrency market, how does this influence the price of NEM?
We at NEM aren't so interested in the money of the market. That's, of course, a driving influence for a lot of people, but we are mainly focused at NEM at giving a good technology for people to build on to change the world. Blockchain is fundamentally a better system for doing a lot of different things in a new way, and we believe that that's what we're here for.
I think personally it's good for everybody to kind of slow down and catch their breath. I think it's good to have a bit of slow after a real run up, you know, gives everybody to kind of take a look at what they're doing and then maybe perhaps catch up with the things they have not had the time to do when the market is, you know, boom, 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 right?
The money is really important for blockchain, but it's not the most important thing. In 2013, Bitcoin went through a tremendous boom, and afterwards there was a crash. But during that time, what we saw was people that were able to make money off of that boom reinvested into the Bitcoin ecosystem. There were a lot of wallets that were developed. There were a lot of exchanges that were developed. There were a lot of services that came after that boom that made Bitcoin what it is today worldwide. Now, in 2017, there was another tremendous boom in the marketplace. And this time it wasn't just Bitcoin, it was the top 10, 20, 30, 50 different cryptocurrencies. Many of these are blockchain platforms like NEM. This money that was made off of the 2017 boom, a lot of it has gone back into reinvesting into the ecosystem. And this time, we're not just building exchanges and wallets. We're building applications for governments, we're building applications for enterprises, and we're building applications for real-world people to have on their phones, and they don't even know that they're doing blockchain.
Yeah, and you were talking about the program e-government. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so e-governments are a really big deal. In the Philippines, NEM has made a partnership with a special economic zone. That's a very interesting project. When I was in Montana a few weeks ago, I was able to witness the company called HE3 Labs partner with another organization called the Universal Tribe Partnership, and they were able to build an eGov demo app. This eGov demo app is a full leap forward in blockchain technology. It doesn't just do money. It does identity for all the citizens. It does voting with that identity. It does property titles connected to that identity. And the interesting thing is we're looking at blockchain now, not just as a way to send money, but in a way to really connect communities and a way to make all the services better. Now that was just a demo. It was demoed to a few people, and we're really happy to hear the feedback from the people and proceed more and make that app better.
As you stated, money is important, but not the most important. So, for example, if there was an exchange hack, as in 2000, I believe, 2018, there was a hack on CoinCheck exchange, and as the result, the hacker stole $500 million worth of NEM. And how did you survive this? I mean, how was it?
Well, yes, it was the largest hack of cryptocurrency at a value of $500 million. And that definitely hurt the market cap of NEM. But again, the NEM Foundation, the NEM developers, all the great people utilizing the technology around the world, it doesn't affect them because the blockchain actually worked perfectly. The problem with the CoinCheck hack is that they had a private key that was exposed. And in a way, this was a good thing because it's allowed us to think about new ways of doing private key management. And now we've done this new contract on NEM. For instance, we talked about it. It's called Multilevel Multisig. And it's contracts like this, which are going to prevent future problems like the CoinCheck problem. And we are looking at ways to provide better security and make it easier and safer for people. And so this is the thing about a new industry. There's problems along the way, and then we fix the problems.
Yeah. I think the important message is that in this instance, the technology and the security was on the blockchain, on the NEM blockchain, and it wasn't the blockchain that was hacked. It was actually the exchange which was running their operation did not have the kind of safeguards or the security protection, and they did not employ some of the technologies we already had. I think this is actually an indication, and it actually was a wake-up call for a lot of exchanges to actually look at their security for within their exchange to actually really tighten it up and maybe employ technologies like multi-sig, multi-level multi-signature into their organization. And I think that was a very good kind of like really wake-up call for everyone. Yeah.
Today we were joined by Steven Chia and Jeff McDonald, board members of NEM Foundation. Thanks for watching and see you next time.